Okay, checking YouTube audio at 1, 2, 3, 4. Checking 1, 2, 3, 4.
I said the wind is blowing out heavily. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
They got a good streak going.
Decent up in the air, it's gonna go. They're my favorite brewers. They're really good at flying out to the warning track usually. I've noticed that. That's true.
Is it a home game tonight?
No, in Chicago. Everyone's voted Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Common Council meeting for May 18th, 2028, coming to order at 7 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please, Molly.
Sure thing. Alderperson Henry.
Here.
Alderperson Michaels.
Here.
Alderperson Valdy.
Here.
Alderperson Price.
Here.
Alderperson Laughlin.
Here.
Alderperson Wilkin and Alderperson Pevin are excused this evening. Mayor Eicher.
Present.
Administrator Hafner.
Here.
Okay, minutes, it doesn't look like we have minutes to approve today. Number 5, City of Delafield citizens' comments. If anyone's here who wishes to comment on anything on or off the agenda, please come forward. Mary.
Good evening, Mary Daniel, 309 Wisconsin Avenue here in Delafield. This evening, I'm commenting on new business. C, the Wisconsin Dot Bridge Project, Genesee Street, County C Bridge. This is your information that's in the packet. So I have some questions that I couldn't find in this packet, so now I'm putting it out to everybody. Probably should have called Tom first. My question is, who does the bridge belong to? It says Waukesha County, County Highway C, and then it says Delafield Street, and that's what's noted in the document. And I know that part of Genesee Street belongs to Delafield, and I think part of it belongs to Waukesha County. I was disappointed that I didn't see any engineered drawings on the grade, location, materials of the path from Poplar Path, which I call the cemetery, crossing across to the on-ramp for I-94, then to Indian Springs Road. I'm wondering who provided the cost for those numbers that are included here. Personally, to me, they seem a little low. Another question I have is, how close to Genesee Street, Highway C, will the roadway, sidewalk, path be? Are there any utilities that are going to be required to move? And then who's responsible for that cost? Who does the maintenance costs for maintaining the sidewalk on the bridge? And what does that mean? Does that mean plowing that sidewalk? And then what are the costs for maintenance of the proposed pedestrian path sidewalk that connects both sides to that bridge? My other question is, will that bridge sidewalk be classified as a path, a sidewalk? And then again, who has the right of way? The city, county, state. And my other question is, have the safety issues been reviewed by the Public Works in regards how to cross an on-ramp that gets you to the interstate to get to the other side to Indian Springs, the street over there? My other question is that path sidewalk in our 5-year plan for pedestrian paths? And will having a path / or sidewalk to walk to Lapham Peak along Highway C or to the homes off Indian Springs Road really have a lot of traffic? I look forward to you sharing the answers to my questions as we continue this discussion. Prior proper planning pays big dividends for Delafield. Having federal funding or grant money for a bridge sidewalk may not be a good deal in the long run. I'm not sure. More information is needed to evaluate the sidewalk on the bridge. I think the costs are not realistic, and there's not enough information presented. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussion on this as we go forward, and as it's scheduled for 2029. And closing the bridge will be an adventure. I lived through the last one, so you will be okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mary. Anyone else wish to comment on anything on or off the agenda tonight? Okay. Seeing none, citizens' comments are now closed. Looking for the items on the consent agenda. There are none. We'll go right to boards, committees, and commission reports. Licenses.
Yep, so we have 4 requests for peddler's permits for Callan Construction. All of the applicants have passed the background check. Is anybody here from that group present today from Callan Construction? Okay. So I believe they are opening a business down in the I-94 corridor, and they just want to, their intention is to just go door to door, letting the residents of the city of Delafield know that they are opening a business locally. So that is my understanding of their need for the peddler's permit. The first one here is for Colin Bacchus. If there is any questions with regard to any specific ones, we can take it. Otherwise, you could potentially approve or deny all of them by referencing the numbers as opposed to going through each one individually. I think we've done that before for this type of item.
I will move to approve the peddler's permits for 7A, 1, 2, 3,
And
4, and 4.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, those individuals have peddler permits. Moving forward. Okay, Plan Commission, 7B. I will take that in lieu of Alderman Wilkin because he is not here. We've got a couple of fun ones here. We'll start out with the Hobby Farm, 112 South Cushing Park Road, rezone. This is simply a rezone of a piece of 12-acre parcel of property on Cushing Park Road, just immediately south of the I-94 on the east side of the road. It is currently a non-conforming lot or parcel based on the fact that it's not large enough for the zoning it has. So this is just to categorize it as A1 instead of A1 exclusive agricultural district. The Plan Commission unanimously recommended approval to us on April 29th.
I'll move to approve. Do I need to read the DELCO 796994?
That sounds good.
Okay. For the redesignation to A1. Is that good?
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? We don't have to hurry. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, item passes. Plan Commission, item B, let's see, item 1B. This is for, this is a big, the shopping center area with Home Goods and what else is over there?
Starbucks.
Five Guys, Starbucks, all that. What they're doing is they're dividing this property so that the smaller stores that include Starbucks to Five Guys is a separate parcel from the larger box stores. Reasons for business reasons. The one group really likes the big box stores and doesn't want to manage the small box stores, and there's potential for them to sell if they do it that way. And everything was approved at the Plan Commission level. The question started out around parking, and and who maintains the parking lot, and that's all taken care of with a legal agreement. So we're just looking for a motion to approve that lot, that subdivision, and the land division of these parcels.
So there's a permanent easement between the two new parcels that'll share parking? Is that how they've resolved the issue?
Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, that's correct. And just to clarify a little bit, item B is an amendment to the existing plan development that allows for the land division. And then item C will actually be the CSM with the land division.
So the parcel that will have the Starbucks and the Five Guys will not have enough parking spaces on its own under our plan, correct?
I believe that's true. That they won't, like.
They
just
won't,
If
which
it was
is-
just, if it was just
Yeah.
seen as a single property, but the easement gives them that count that we need. It's a similar arrangement, I believe, with Water Street Brewery and Albrecht's Century. We've got the same type of situation.
Is there any opening or allowance here that we're taking this action on that will allow for more development in the home goods section? I keep seeing shopping centers where they place freestanding. Is that one of the outcomes that we should be considering as they do this?
I don't believe there's anything that would enable them to do it.
The only way that could be done is if they got another amendment to their planned unit development that allowed more square footage to be developed. They're maxed out with their square footage.
Okay, so by separating it out, we're not opening ourselves up to allowing that necessarily without a further consideration of a plan, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone care to make the motion to amend the planned development?
I will move to amend the existing plan development.
I'll second.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, items,
Just to confirm,
Seven.
that was Laughlin on the,
That's correct.
thank you.
okay, looking for a motion for item 7B1C, and that is the same properties. This just documents it down to the individual parcels on a CSM.
I move to approve the certified survey map to divide the parcels into two parcels.
I'll second that.
Any questions on this or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Okay. Certified survey map is approved. Item 7B1D, DELC 0735998. This is 4024 Nagawicca Road. Owner University Lake School, applicant Chris Boudet. This is requesting an update of a conditional use and site plan and appearance amendment for their business plan of operation to install soccer field lighting and to construct a shed. So this was a topic at our last meeting where there's a public hearing and there was some people that spoke. If the applicant is here, if you'd like to come up in case there's any questions. But there was a demonstration, or not really a demonstration, but the question surrounded what kind of light would escape from the field and of impact neighboring residents, and the type of lighting they're using, and that was vetted, and the Plan Commission was okay with it. I believe it was a unanimous vote to approve it. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, you have any questions or comments? that you
No,
wanna
well, I
raise?
don't have any specific questions. I just have, I do have some concerns. I did read through the packet and all the documentation regarding that and about the spillage and glare and things like that, but, and I feel slightly better about it after that. However, there's still the reflection, I mean, there's still reflective light coming into the neighborhood. I still have a lot of concerns regarding the impact to the neighbors. I know they have concerns. I've heard from a lot of them. And I drive by there every day. I live very close to there, obviously. And just the lighting in that, within the neighborhood is concerning to me. So I have concerns about that.
How many games will you be playing, like in a season? How many nights out of a year would you have lights on?
Just name and address too before I speak.
Sure, I can speak to that. My name is Melissa Benson, and my address is West 327 South 755 Timberline Circle in Delafield. And I I can say that the number of games is just based on the number of home soccer games that we have. We have a girls and a boys soccer team. This is mainly going to be a varsity field, but occasionally it will be used by some of the JV teams and then occasional later practices, but most of our practices are right after school. So we're probably talking on, in a given year, maybe 10 to 15 games. It's really going to be pretty minimal.
Right, so even if it's twice that, out of 365 days a year, you're going to have about, 10 to 15, or let's say 30. That's a small percentage.
The use is being granted
Yeah.
for certain hours.
Okay.
Up to two to three times a week.
Okay,
And a period of time, of calendar dates from like around Memorial Day to end of
Gotcha.
October.
yeah, because the boys' soccer is usually one season and girls is spring, right?
Yeah, so we have on there, we kind of overestimated just to make sure that if a game was on a different day, or if there was happened to be 2 games in a week, or we needed to do some sort of later practice for some reason just due to scheduling, that we'd have that opportunity and that flexibility. But we understand that we have neighbors, and we are always committed to being good neighbors, and so we'll make sure to respect that every time we use it. We're not, the soccer games are 2 hours long or so. And so in order to have home games after a certain time at ULS, the guidelines are that we have to have lights.
Understood.
Yeah. Excuse me, are you done, Jackie?
Pardon me?
Were you finished?
I am.
Okay, thanks. I didn't want to interrupt you. I was looking at the packet, and I noticed the great lengths that were gone to through the efforts of you and the Planning Commission to try and make sure that the lights aren't going to become problematic for people who have issues with it. And I noticed in the recommendation list of 10 things listed, there's an item 7 in here that says the lighting shall not cause glare, obstruction, or trespass on adjacent properties or the road. And if it is determined by the Common Council, following a recommendation by the Planning Commission, that the lights have a proven impact on glare, obstruction, or trespass, that the city reserves the right to terminate this conditional use permit. I think there's an error there. It should probably say conditional use permit amendment. And also, following a public hearing would be required in accordance with the provisions of the City of Delafield zoning ordinance. So any concerns about the light being miscalculated by the engineering studies is offset by this provision that gives us the opportunity to change our mind later. You're aware of that, right? Are you comfortable with the way that's set up, that it's realistic, that the lights are going to be covered, that they're not going to bounce and cause problems with the street?
Yes, this is I'm Tim Prosek with Musco Lighting. I'm manufacturer and lighting designer. Are you talking once the lights are installed, if we were to come out and field test them and find out, hey, these are more obtrusive than expected, then we take that upon us. We will re-aim and lengthen visors and do whatever we can to troubleshoot any issues. I'd say our lighting designs that we do did not factor in the trees, so any blockage that the trees give us is just additional, so that should help. But yeah, extremely rare that I see that our lighting design doesn't meet what we see in the field, but if that were to be the case, that's something that we take upon ourselves to resolve.
Okay. Personally, just from a personal standpoint, from the council's perspective, I think this would be better worded in item 7 if it gave an opportunity to cure before the draconian cancellation of the amendment. But
That would be included in part of the public hearing process, would be my understanding, that the public hearing could allow for that at that point.
okay.
It looked like, I wasn't here for the first go-around of this, but there was a couple different lighting proposals till you settled on this one. What was the final pole height? It looked like higher poles to create less light pollution. Did I understand that correctly?
That is correct. We're using 70-foot light poles, which I explained at the planning meeting, but really that higher pole height actually helps more than it hurts. I know you might hear 70-foot poles, and that's pretty alarming, but the higher the poles go, the more tilt you can have down on our visors. We use 18 to 27-inch visors on each of these fixtures, so the higher we are, the tighter that light control can actually be. So there's a number of references we provided as well with fields that we've lit in the area that use similar pole heights and similar technology. So that pole height actually helps.
And then another difference between the initial proposal and what we ended up with was that they're dark sky certified, and this was in part a recommendation by the city engineer to kind of be able to tighten up any sort of glare or potential of spillage into the neighbor's yard. And so we investigated that and found really a great solution, we thought, with Musco.
So maybe we could use your dark sky certified lights here on Main Street there on Genesee.
Any other questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
Before a motion is made, though, on line 6, I did have concerns with how it reads, just used no more than 2 to 3 days a week. I think that's kind of strange that you would say no more than 2 to 3. I'd rather it just say no more than 3 versus no more than 2 to 3.
You can do that in the motion if you like.
Okay, well, I just wanted to point that out. but-
We're not, no one's going to veto it and cross out the dash and make it 23.
Right.
If there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve the application for the lighting, the soccer field lighting, and to construct a shed, which we did not discuss. It's DELCO 7359998. And, yeah, anything else?
I will second that.
Are we getting rid of the 2 on the 2 to 3 times?
That's right. We have a public hearing coming, don't we?
This is it.
Oh, okay,
We had a
yeah.
public hearing.
I'm fine with
Okay.
that.
You
Can I-
fine with that as a second?
Can I toss into that we should put the word amendment in that?
This will end up being the conditional use, right?
Okay, because it's called, it would only be the amendment that would be changed, right?
Well, so this is creating an update to the conditional use. So the condition, it'll end up being it's a conditional use that would then be subject to that condition, right? Not, it wouldn't change the meaning, I don't think.
Okay.
Do you think, Tom?
Steve, were you talking about number 7 where it says conditional use permit?
Yeah, everywhere else it refers to it as a conditional use permit amendment. In that particular sentence, it almost
Go ahead,
suggests you could
Mike.
withdraw the school's permit. And I wouldn't want that to
I
happen.
was just going to say that, if you withdraw the conditional use permit, you're withdrawing the permit for them to operate as a school.
Okay, that's, I would
So
suggest.
Steve is correct.
I would suggest
It should
that
say
as
amendment.
another part of the motion to include the addition of the word amendment in that section. What is that?
I'm not sure how to
7.
say it. I just have the agenda. I didn't pull up the whole, well, I do have it, but
If you say you add to your motion that the word amendment is added in item 7 of the
okay.
conditions.
And adding to my motion is to add the word amendment
Yes, after conditional use permit.
after conditional use permit.
Does that make sense, Molly?
Motion by Valdez, seconded by Price, to approve the conditional use, site plan and appearance amendment and business plan of operation to install soccer field lighting and to construct a shed, with removing the 2 dash from item number 6 and adding amendment after conditional use permit to number 7.
You are good, Molly.
Is that correct?
Just a minor technicality. It's not 2 dash, it's 2 or.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you good with that, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes with Henry voting no. All right, you've been approved.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7B, 1E, DLC 0808985002, 501 Maple Avenue, owner Cedar Square 3 LLC, applicant John Barker, 501 Maple LLC. Requests approval to create a plan development overlay district, including general development plan and specific implementation plan approval and site plan and appearance approval to allow a 16-unit residential condominium development. So this is the old SEH building. There are three more motions after this, so we're going to go slow and in order. So what's going on here is we are subjecting, the proposed letter is here from, a recommendation is here from Amy Barrows, our city planner, that goes through the types of, each agenda item and gives her recommendation, which I highly recommend we follow. This is actually a little bit more than we usually see from a technical aspect from the Plan Commission, because we moved this in kind of a streamlined order. And the recommendations are subjecting the proposal and our approval on a litany of conditions that will be managed by staff. And there's lots and lots of discussion amongst the staff members about this over the course of the last 10 days. And we've arrived at something that people are comfortable with to maintain the controls that we need and allow this to move forward. So the first item is, like I said, the planned the Planned Development Overlay District, including General Development Plan and Specific Implementation Plan. So this is something that's, it might be the first time we're doing this because we changed how we enable conditional use. Instead of using conditional uses for something like this, we are creating a planned unit development so that we have more control over the process.
Just advice for the council, we'd strongly suggest for that each of these four motions, you include contingency of addressing remaining review comments and final review by staff and city attorney.
Is there some business or construction reason that all of these approvals aren't completed before it comes to us?
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of rushed to bring it to a conclusion at this meeting and to allow the developer to hit the ground running and get his construction started. There are a few concerns that we're still resolving, and so that's the reason for that.
I mean, as a matter of course, I don't like coming to the meeting and having about 4 pages of emails highlighted for me that say, we just looked at this morning. It doesn't give me great confidence with the rest of this process, but I'll let the conversation proceed.
Tom, are there any issues on that checklist of the remaining issues that are particularly material to our approval consideration?
Yeah, the two most significant things is emergency access. The fire chief is reasonably confident that the access is adequate, but he has added into the conditions that after the drives are constructed, that they'll do a field test with the trucks to confirm that they've got the access needed, and if not, that the developer will address the issue, add additional pavement and whatnot to provide better turning radiuses. It's just a difficult site to lay out. It's very steep. There are significant retaining walls. Our ladder truck drivers are going to have to be very talented. They're going to have to back their way out of these driveways. They're long. There's steep drop-offs from them and retaining walls adjacent to them. So that's been a concern. And then with those retaining walls, there's been a difference of opinion. Both our Public Works Committee and our staff has recommended that some railings be put at the top of the retaining walls. The developer feels like just a 2-foot extension of the wall above grade would be adequate. So that'd be a continuation of his boulder retaining wall 2 feet above the grade. But we're going to look into standards for that with regards to when railings and/or guardrail adjacent to drop-offs like that are required, and just confirm that he's meeting all standards, and if so, staff would approve that at that point, unless council directs otherwise.
Do you happen to know what the consequence to this developer is of a 2-week delay in our approving this?
Of the what?
If we didn't approve this tonight for the developers to then hit the ground running, what's the consequence of a 2-week delay?
So the developer is here, and I would encourage you to invite him up and ask him that question.
Okay, I would like to do that.
Hi, I'm John Barker, 3875 Kettle Court East, Delafield. The consequence would just be that, every year we have a very limited window of time that we can grade and do the project. And I'd like to get started with, the site work, the retention ponds, and probably just get the laterals start running and get things moving with it. I'd really like to advertise these for sale, but I didn't want to step ahead of myself and, put these out there and market them and see what the feel of the population is going to be on this project. And the sooner I would get an approval, then I would be able to feel confident about marketing them and putting a website together, putting them on the MLS, and that's kind of why we were going at the speed we were. In reference to the retaining walls, it's my, I guess, from what I've talked to the building inspector, the retaining walls don't require a rail. It was just a recommendation by the city engineer, Brian, that I should have some sort of railing. It was brought up at the Public Works meeting, and I had said I could do that. I could put up like a glass rail that you could see through. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I have these same exact walls. They're not boulders. They're actually like big stones that are pulled out of the quarry. They're large. Like, I have stones that are as big as this table, literally one stone, and they're 15 inches tall. And so we put the base in. With the city engineer, he had requested me to get the walls stamped by a professional engineer. So I hired a guy out in Madison. His name was Ron Vickery. He's a professional engineer that specializes in retaining walls. And currently on my site on Kettle Court, I have walls that are almost 20 feet tall, and they're tiered, they're terraced off, so you don't go sheer tall 20 feet wall, like they're kind of stepped a little bit, and then there's a terrace 6 feet, and then there's another terrace 6 feet. And in order to, if I can example.
Sure.
2 feet, probably like this, little like that. It's actually a little higher, it's at knee height for me. And then the stone is 3 feet deep. So in order, if you're looking at a retaining wall,
You can
this vantage.
go, get back into the mic, please, if you don't mind, John.
So if you're looking at a 2-foot tall barrier in front of you with another 3 feet deep, you have to be standing looking at that saying, my vantage point looks like everything's lower. And if you would maybe put up that last, you had an illustration of the actual property, like you had it on the screen, just so I can kind of show everyone what that looks like as far as the lay of the land.
Is that something you can do, Mike? Are you hearing?
Oh,
I don't know, he's back there, I can see.
Yeah, he is.
I'll like to show you like an example what I mean. Tom had brought up that the walls are, high and there's drop-offs. There's no drop-offs for the fire trucks. They are in no danger of having a fire truck like fall off of a wall. So I'll try and talk really loud, but if you go back this way, so
Stop.
Yeah, go up one more if you want. We'll show the fire truck.
Whoa,
Oh, other way.
okay, right,
I'll talk really loud.
just stop, yeah.
Okay, so if you go one more, you can show the fire truck, and it's just basically the same thing, but it was the fire truck. I think it's 2.0 is on the plan. One more.
Mike, one more slide.
One more slide up. So if we're familiar with the site,
There.
there we go, that's perfect. So you're coming in off of Maple Avenue right here. The existing SEH building was right here. So the fire truck can come in easily and make his turn and go right in and back up. There's no wall there for him to worry about. This wall is higher than he is. He's not dropping off. This wall here is a drop off into the pond, but like 6 feet. This right here is a slight drop off wall, and that's about 3 to 4 feet. So there's not a big danger of anybody falling off into that kind of thing. You drive up in this way.
You need to get to the mic, John, and we can save a little bit of time.
Okay.
the approval or recommendation, whether we like it, love it or not,
Right,
it's
right.
really up to the fire chief. And
Gotcha.
so he put in the condition that he would require if he were to approve this.
Correct, he did.
That's part of the,
Correct, right.
part of what an approval
Yeah.
would mean is that it's subject to that condition.
Correct. And I'd spoken to Matt Fenning many times in reference to that, and he had been up on that site probably at least, I don't know, several dozen times as I allowed them to use it for the last 4 to 5 months to do controlled burns, training exercises, and everything else. So they had that ladder truck in there the whole time, and the road hasn't changed at all. In fact, Tom had made a point to say that it's a very steep site. It's not going to be as steep as it once was, because if you look at this one right here, we're dropping the grade 8 feet. So this driveway in the middle of those 5 units.
We have to capture this on.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the 2 upper units and the 3 units in front of it, and there's a retaining wall in front of building 7 and 8, that's the steepest drop-off. But I'm dropping that driveway down 8 feet so that it's much smoother and no big slope or any sort of grades. In fact, if anything, I'm making the grades much less aggressive than what they are currently. So if you want to go out and walk the site, you can see that they're not steep at all. I mean, the only part that's steep on this site is on the backside, which is this triangular lot that's the outlot that's going to be the next item up or a couple items up. But as far as the actual railing, that's, not something that's city code, not something that's state code, according to what I've talked to the building inspector about. So it's kind of like, I don't see the need to have the railings. If someone would want them, I would put them in, but I just don't see someone saying, oh my God, I'm just going to run right off the edge of this retaining wall. Well, you'd have to knock your knee right into the face of it, and then you'd have to fall forward 3 feet, and you'd still be not over the wall yet because they're so big. They're heavy, girthy walls. These aren't just normal little retaining wall blocks that you see that you buy at Menards or other people put up. These are monstrous walls that truly have like a big natural barrier. It's like kind of like, I don't think anybody would want to walk over that.
Is that still the case when there's snow obscuring the view?
What do you mean by that?
In the wintertime, it may be harder to see whether you're protected by the wall when you're driving through there.
I think if you snow would pack on top of that, it would make it even harder for you to do that. I think, you know what I mean? It would be on top of it. I just don't see it's just too much. It'd be like having this table as an obstacle. I mean, is this 3 feet? This is probably close to 3 feet. So you'd have to like literally go and fall forward. You can't go over the edge. I mean, it would be a deliberate act if someone were to want to go over the edge of that. I know because I have the walls in my place. I can only speak from like knowing what I know about these walls that we built. So
I think I'd like to interject here a couple things. One, it wouldn't be a 2-week delay, it'd be a 4-week delay because we only have one meeting in June, and it would be the 15th. So if you're thinking it's only 2 weeks, it's not, it's 4. Am I right?
Right now, we're only,
Right.
right now, there's only scheduled one meeting in
Right.
June.
Good catch.
This is a complicated plan, and I put a lot of faith in our plan commission to work with the developers, and if it's something that they recommend, I'm always very hesitant to second guess. It definitely is our place to question things and seek clarification, but I just guess I want to throw that out there that the plan commission, it has, if I'm not mistaken, approved this?
correct.
Am I correct?
Sort of,
Sort of?
right? It advanced out of the plan commission
Okay.
with some recommendations to go to Public Works.
Okay.
And the issues that Public Works has generated this list of conditions. And so typically, this retaining wall question would be something that would go back to Plan Commission, and
Okay.
if this was on a different track.
Okay.
But I don't know that the outcome is different based on what we're considering here. We're considering whether or not, one, if it's a good idea and recommended, and do you think that the Plan Commission would hold it up over a recommendation versus what is going to be vetted out by our building inspector and our engineers as far as what state code requires, what's best practices, and what's I'm trying to think of another word, what's like defined as safe, right? Is that, do I have that about right, Tom?
Yeah, you do. And I mean, the other, issue here is this is immediately adjacent, some of these retaining walls are immediately adjacent to the driveway, meaning that if it was a public road, for sure, they would have to be rated for car collisions and maintaining cars on the roadway. There is a question of whether that's required on private property that we are reviewing right now and trying to understand.
Okay.
So
So if this is a public road, at a minimum, you would need guardrail adjacent to the road.
I guess where I'm going with this, John, is I would love to say, yes, I understand developers. I've worked with developers all the time. And I understand the need for speed to get the thing going. Perfect sense. I just want to make sure we aren't leaving too many hairy things hanging behind that causes wrestling match over whether or not you're comfortable making changes.
Correct.
What are your thoughts about that? Are you going to be comfortable with the stuff Matt's likely to come up with, you think, or?
Absolutely. As far as what Matt Fenning is with the fire department, absolutely, 100%. I had a phone conversation with him where he had said, John, can I word it like this to say that if you get your development in, and I said, sure, I'll put up like a binder coat, which would be the first coat of the asphalt. I said, you can bring the truck up, we'll go through it, we'll see that you can make your swings. If you can't, I am glad to add more asphalt in the curves and the radiuses, because first of all, you need the fire department there in case there is an emergency or some sort of fire. But, I'm definitely all for that. I have no problem with that. In fact, every project I've ever done, I've always went back, and the as-built is always just a little bit bigger than what was the other stuff, because you add a little arc, a little radius. I've got commercial buildings with truck traffic, and, I can drive a truck like that. I mean, I don't want it to be difficult for the drivers to come in there and have a situation where they just can't swing in or they can't make the bend, and it's like, I get it. So I have no problem with that.
Okay.
As far as the
do you
fire
see any headaches we're going to get if we approve this now?
No, I think we can work with the developer and work through the issues, and I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
It says here that we're supposed to approve it with the developer's agreement is subject to attorney review. Has the attorney not reviewed the developer's agreement?
He has, but once we get kind of the final, so we don't anticipate the development agreement changing at all.
So the attorney has reviewed the
Yes.
developer's agreement?
Yes,
Okay. And their changes have been incorporated?
yes.
Why is it subject to attorney review then?
I know.
Just, I think it was the water main easement.
Is it because we don't have a stormwater management agreement in
No.
place? Okay.
Trying to look for Amy's comments.
Is this what you're looking for here?
Yeah. So, Steve, you got this packet I handed out tonight?
Yeah.
Looks like this. Look at letter G, developers agreement. It says the city attorney reviewed last week, said it was good to go, but our city engineer noticed something this morning. And there is a statement about stormwater having to be recorded prior to CSM. And so there needs to be a small tweak with that, with the order of the documents. Very minor.
Okay.
Is there any other questions or clarifications?
Sorry if you already said this, but am I understanding this correctly, that really the only thing that is still up in the air is the fire department and the traffic? Or is there still other things that are needing to be sorted out?
The fire department, and then whether or not to require any kind of guardrail or railings on top of the retaining wall. That's really a safety issue and not a emergency access issue. So it's really not a fire. The railing,
Okay.
if we put railings on top of the retaining walls, that would be more problematic for emergency access, because some of these are real close to the edge of the road. There's going to be truck overhang where the tires are still on the pavement, but the actual body of the truck is overhanging the edge of the pavement. So that could introduce more problems if we did require railings, which we will take into account and figure out.
And that is just determined on whether or not it's required or not?
Correct.
Okay.
It was my understanding that talking with Chief Fennig that he did not require any sort of maneuvering that made him, gave him the opportunity to turn around. His statement was, as long as I can get up in there straight ahead, I can back that truck out. I said, well, yeah, that's good. That's what reverse is for. And he's like, absolutely, I get it. He goes, I'm not going to try, and this is his words, I don't need to do an Austin Powers move where I pull in there and I do like one of these deals where I'm stuck. I said, yeah, I get it. No problem. The areas in front of the garages, there's at least 52 feet off the face of it from the garage off in there. So, I mean.
Again, you're put in this position to analyze the data as
yeah.
opposed to
Oh, exactly.
procedurally leave this up to the conditions set by the fire chief.
Gotcha, no problem.
What work does the Public Works Committee still need to do on this?
None. They gave a list of, I believe it was like 7 items for staff to review and incorporate into the plan.
Okay, so their work is completed, is that right?
Correct, but some of it's open-ended, like they said, check standards to see if retaining walls
Okay,
need.
the same
railings
ones
on
we've been
top of
talking
them.
about.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. How would, Molly, how do you want this worded?
This is item 8E.
So I will
Or-
move to approve item,
It's
sorry,
in, yeah, the email,
where are we at?
it's the first agenda item B and then item E,
B,
where it says PUD.
okay, B, E,
Let's see, where's wait, is that the actual motion?
no, B, I, E. No, B, 1E,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
So the motion in Amy's report is to approve the Plan Development Overlay District, including the General Development Plan and specific implementation plan approval and site plan and appearance approval to allow a 16-unit residential condominium development. And I believe that she is now recommending that that would be subject to staff and attorney review. Am I missing anything on that, Tom or Tim? Mayor Iker.
And
And-
addressing of
and-
comments from the Public Works Committee.
I didn't need to include anything about the fire department? In that?
No.
Okay, then I will so move.
Second.
Is there any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Now on to a harder one.
Oh,
No,
this one's easier.
I know, I'm kidding. Item 7BIF, the CSM. So approve as the suggestion, approve as presented, the updated CSM.
So moved.
I'll second.
So I have a comment on that. Just for clarification. This is the one that was replaced with the one that was presented. I'm just making sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Tom?
The one in the packet is final, has been approved by Amy, and is good to go.
Okay, I'm just, okay.
Any questions on that? Was there a second already?
I second.
Okay.
Okay, who had the first? I'm sorry about that.
I did.
Okay,
Any questions or comments on this?
and then,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, we have a CSM.
Price had the
approval.
second on that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, then, developers agreement, recommended that it's subject to approval and attorney review. Is there anything else on this, Tom? No, that's it. Right.
Just the inclusion of the city attorney final review on this document.
So I will move to approve the development agreement, subject to final staff review and attorney's approval.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, item G is approved. Then item H, water main easement. And this is just, is it subject to the city's, are these all the comments that are necessary here?
Yeah. Yeah, these comments came out this morning. So this one is approved, subject to final exhibits being reviewed and approved by engineering staff, with those comments being the 8 bullet points on page 2 of this packet.
So what has the engineering staff reviewed? I mean, have they given a first review? Why is it subject to their review still? And why are there 8 bullet points on here?
And engineering staff reviewed the water main easement for substance, and then the city surveyor reviewed it yesterday for legal compliance with surveying requirements.
Can construction begin since we've approved the first 2, and this can come back to us next month along with the stormwater management agreement? It does seem odd to me that the engineering staff and the water main easement don't have the benefit of the stormwater management agreement
So the
being in
storm-
front of us.
So to answer your question, yes, this could be delayed until next month if you want to. It doesn't stop construction from proceeding. But there's really no link between this and the stormwater agreement. And these notes identified are very much technicalities that can get corrected in less than an hour.
Can these notes be shared with us before we get to the meeting in the future? I mean, I haven't had a chance to read them.
Yeah, Steve, I received these today.
I know you did.
And the surveyor did the review yesterday. And if council has a concern, as I do, with how we're bringing this development to you, that it's not complete enough, let us know that for future reference.
I've been on council for a long time, and it almost never happens like this. So just, to point out that this is unusual,
It's
so
my first one, so I'm
Right,
trying
yeah.
I'm trying to suss out if this is normal or if this is unusual.
This is unusual, and I have complete faith in our engineering staff, and, I've just been around a while, so.
So this is, Steve, this is all in an effort to challenge, essentially, I'm to blame for some of this. Amy Barrows might say all of it. But it's really a challenge to say, why does it take 4 months for approval and to go through these steps? Is something wrong with our process? Are things out of order? And there's really nothing wrong with our process. Maybe some things are out of order. And to help push things along, it creates this type of a timeline where the right people have the right levers to pull to make sure that this is done the way it's supposed to be done. But to your point, we shouldn't be seeing all these bullets like this at this meeting. This is typically, we don't even talk about these things. Typically, it's these are buttoned up due to the benefit of at least 6 more weeks. But things seemed reasonable as far as what the timeline looked like. And I pretty much challenged our staff to see how we could get through this or any new development in a shorter timeline. And I told Tom this afternoon, we're going to do an after-action review on this and determine what we need to change or don't do it this way again.
Yeah, I don't want to hold up this nice developer who's building something nice in our city, and I certainly don't want to be a stick in the mud as I'm new to the process, but I would prefer the more buttoned-up approach for future developments.
Yeah, but for the benefit of my experience in seeing so many go through similar processes and being involved, on all of these steps behind the scenes. I'm comfortable with this. I don't think everyone needs to go through that same education and get that expertise and just experience in dealing with all these different documents and complicated recommendations. So anyways, I'm getting off topic as far as what we're going to do in the future, but we're presented with something that we have the right levers to pull to make it work right. And I'll see how staff treats me after this week.
I too want to get this facilitated so John can get to work, but I also feel the same that Steve does, that I'd like to see stuff ahead of time so I have a chance to digest it and make sure that I know what it is that we're doing. But I do have tremendous faith in our planning commission and all those people, so on that basis, I'm willing to go behind this, which is why I've been voting yes. So
I appreciate that.
I'll motion to approve the water main easement, subject to final exhibits being reviewed and approved by engineering staff.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, the only other thing I just want to reiterate, I do have a lot of faith, but what I will say is, Tom, if there are any concerns, I want staff to know, don't hesitate to kick it back to us if it needs to. Like, I'd rather have it come back if there's any kind of concerns, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other discussion or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, item H is approved. Don't do this to us again, John.
I have to say, I appreciate it, and I know, Tom, you're right, Tom does a great job, and he's a stickler for details, and so is everybody on the Plan Commission. And I think the only reason why this has been pushed through is because I can say from other people, not just the mayor, but other people in the city that make some pretty good decisions, they know who I am, and they know what I've done, and they know the track record that I have.
You're supposed to
with
stop
doing
talking when you get a
projects.
yes.
Yeah, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, I appreciate
Okay.
it.
We already
Thank you.
voted for you.
I know, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
All right, let's see here. Item H, we're done with Plan Commission. Yep. There's a meeting next Wednesday. Okay, item C, Lake Welfare Committee. Alderman Price.
Yeah, Lake Welfare met last Wednesday. You can see on the agenda some of the same things we've talked about for the last couple of months, but most of the discussion was discussing on aerators, which we're planning on bringing a motion for the next month's meeting to put regulations as far as when they can be used during the winter time. And then there was a lot of discussion on the lake water level and no wake rules. And I think we're probably going to be coming up with a recommendation to possibly lower the no wake rule from 10 inches to 8 inches, but we're still doing some research on that for next month's meeting. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Park and Recreation Commission, Tree Board.
So Park and Rec had no meeting, so there's no report on that. The Tree Board, however, we had a special meeting called for the specific purpose of approving the bid for the Oakwood tree planting to get started, so we wouldn't have to delay it. So we did approve at that meeting the bid from Property Solutions Contracting, which is now on the agenda as a motion for this council to further it along. Right? We need approval?
We do.
Okay, so I can make the motion unless you guys want discussion on this first. What do you want?
You can lead with the motion, get a second.
I'll lead with the
Discuss
motion.
all you want.
All right. So I'm gonna move that we approve the 2026 Oakwood Tree Planting Project contract to Property Solutions Contracting, which is in the amount of $25,950, as has been unanimously recommended by the Tree Board.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, we're going to plant some trees. Anything else, Steve?
No, that's all.
Okay, Public Works Committee, Alderman Pavin is not here. Anything to add, Tom?
The only thing discussed at Public Works Committee was the hillside on Maple development that we just discussed.
All right, thank you. Delhart Commission, our next meeting is tomorrow. Police Commission,
No meeting, no report?
Library Board,
We met last week, and I'll keep it short. The big thing is the library is open, and the painting is all done. It looks beautiful. There's a lot of things, just looks new, and ask for a tour. They love to show you around, and go check it out. It looks really, really nice.
it does, I did. Anything else?
Nope,
All right, thanks. Zoning Board of Appeals.
No meeting, no.
I think something's ruined for you, just a little spoiler alert. J, Promotion and Tourism Commission.
We did meet, and I would direct people to look at the minutes, and I'd also direct people to go to visit delafield.org. If you go and stay in the hotels, they have these very nifty little pins, and there's a QR code on the back. But if you show your room key and one of these pins, you can get discounts in some of the stores around downtown. And they're the cutest pins. I just love them.
Are you tracking where they're being used then?
Oh, yeah. If there's anything that our new Director of Promotion and Tourism does well, that's data.
Okay.
And yes, they are tracking.
Good to know.
Very interesting things they're doing.
All right, thanks, Jackie. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Commission, I do not believe there was a meeting. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board, Alderman Michaels.
We have not had a board meeting since we last met. We have one on Wednesday, but I will note that the IMA has been passed by 6 of the 7 communities, and I believe the Village of Oconomowoc Lake is taking it up on their agenda tonight. So hopefully that will come to resolution soon.
I agree, and rumor has it we'll have a signing meeting if it does, and we can be nice to each other for the first time in a few years. Deer Management Committee, Wilkin is not here. There's a meeting tomorrow. Other committees, commissions, and boards, none to report. Unfinished business, none. Mayor's report, so this is where I tell you about recent events attended. One of them was not Della Spring, because my daughter got married, otherwise I would have been there. So I missed that, but it looked like it was a success. Item 9A, looking to accept the resignation of Holly Klatt from the Kettle Moraine School District. Her position on the library board to expire 4/29. She put in her request, or she moved or something.
She's
retiring.
retiring,
Oh,
so
boy.
congratulations to Holly. I will move to approve to accept her resignation.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thanks for your support and service, Holly. Item 9B, accept resignation of Andrew Vrackus from the citizen member position on Lake Welfare Committee, term to expire 4/27. He just requested that he would like a change of venue, so he's coming up, he wants to be on Park and Rec, so there's an opening for him there. So looking to accept his resignation.
I will move to accept the resignation of Andrew Vrackus as a citizen member of Lake Welfare.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, thanks, Andy. Accept resignation of Leslie Donovan as a citizen member position on Park and Recreation Committee, Tree Board, term to expire 4/30/2028. She has lots of busy things she's taking care of at home, so.
Yeah, she's got that for sure. I'll move to accept Leslie's resignation as a citizen member from the Park and Rec Commission and the Tree Board.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, thanks, Leslie. Confirm appointment, looking to confirm appointment of Andrew Vrackus as the citizen member position on the newly vacated Park and Recreation position.
I'll move to confirm that appointment of Andrew Vrackus as the citizen member, or one of the citizen members, to the Park and Rec Commission and the Tree Board that was vacated by Leslie.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? All right, thanks, Andy. Confirm the appointment of Michael Roy to the vacant citizen member position on Deer Management Committee. They need a lot of help. Term to expire 4/28. Would like to confirm my appointment of Michael.
I will move to approve, or to confirm the appointment of Michael Roy.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, welcome, Michael. New business, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 2026-08, amending the 2026 operating budget related to an anticipated increased revenue of $9,244 from Wisconsin Department of Justice Law Enforcement Drug Trafficking Response Grant, and increased expenses covered by the grant in that same amount for development of a new response to hazardous controlled substances program. And Chief is here to tell us about it.
Absolutely. Start with what I hope is the easy one. As I discussed in the annual report, we are starting a new program, partnership with the FEMA Center for Domestic Preparedness. And late last year, early this year, we found a grant opportunity through the DOJ. We wrote the grant and we received it. And so I am just looking for the approval to add a revenue line of $9,244 to cover that grant income, and then an expenditure line under our normal operation expenses of $9,244. And so that would increase our operating budget, but also increase our state grants revenue line. It's offsetting, budget neutral, and it gives us a brand new capability to keep our officers safe when responding to dangerous controlled substance investigations.
I'll move to amend our budget for both the revenue and expense amounts that are identical in the amount of $9,244 to allow us to accept the grant from the Justice Law Enforcement Drug Trafficking Response Grant and expend those funds for that purpose.
I'll second.
Any discussion or any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, now, item B, presentation by Chief Landon regarding the staffing of City of Delafield Police Department. I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you. I've been up here quite a few times now, but I truly feel that this is probably one of the more important presentations that I'm going to have given you as my time as chief here. I appreciate everything you've done for us in the past, both funding and support-wise. But right now, in 2027, as we're looking at our staffing being fully staffed for the first time in many years, we are seeing that our day shift levels of staffing are still that one officer minimum. And so there are days in the city of Delafield where there's one police officer working. That occurs more often on weekends, especially because administrative staff, the detective, they're Monday through Friday positions. And while they can go out and help during the week, Saturdays and Sundays, there are days where there's one officer scheduled to patrol the streets in the city of Delafield. And so I'm coming to you early on because, as Tom and the mayor know, I don't like surprises, and I don't like council, I don't like my leadership to be surprised, so I want to come here early and give every bit of information I can as to why I'm here asking for one additional officer for our police department in 2027 and going forward. Bottom line up front, I can do it for an increase of $63,000 a year. That is due to the fact that we're looking to restructure our civilian staff. Through the efficiencies we've implemented over the last 2 to 3 years, we have realized some real gains, and we can eliminate a clerk position, a full-time clerk position, in 2027. And we can do that through natural attrition, through retirements. So we're not laying someone off, we're not cutting someone. We are looking to become more efficient on the administrative side, and therefore those savings I really think would benefit the city by rolling into a patrol officer position. Truthfully, if we got 2, we could do it on third shift as well, but I realize the financial restrictions we have, so that's why we looked at this long and hard and found a route for, well under $100,000 to add a patrol officer to our staff. Big part of this, I looked at our comparables, both our neighbors, population-wise. I learned a few new stats that were out there during this. So we've got our normal population, land area, equalized value. Those are the things that we saw in the salary and benefit survey. So we utilized some of our comparables out of that. But we also leaned on retail sales activity and accommodation and dining sales. That's information from the U.S. Economic Census. And it really kind of gives an idea of what our officers are dealing with in regards to visitors to the city. Retail sales, they're great for the community, but it also means more responses to to property crimes. And then also our traffic volume and crash data. If you look at the information I provided there, you can see the closest to us for crash data
Lake Geneva.
is Lake Geneva, which was also the top in our benefits comparables as well. They were considered comparable with us. I'm not gonna obviously ask for 32 sworn. I think that's what that's, yeah, 32 sworn officers. But right now we're at 16 with, you know, some of the highest amounts of retail sales, the highest amounts of accommodations, you know, that true daytime traffic that we're seeing in the city of Delafield. Through the week, through the weekends, it's been a goal for this city to increase those overnight stays, to increase visitors here to the city. And I think it's time that we increase the patrol staff as well. This will be the first time we would increase patrol staff since 2017. So it has been 10 years since we last added a position. I think we've found a reasonable path forward to do that. And I would like to invite anyone, both the public, the council, to come sit down with me, discuss, you know, what this plan looks like detailed going forward, or answer any questions anyone has regarding it. And also today, any questions?
I have a question for you. So Landon, if the case is compelling, why is it compelling to wait till 2027 to do it?
I mean, budget cycle.
Is that the only reason you're hesitating?
We just became full-staffed, and so right now, I have 2 fresh officers fresh off field training. We have to run a hiring process. We would have to run a hiring process. I also have a detective retiring in early of 2027. And so the reality of running a process, hiring someone, and getting them going before 27 is not really practical. So 2027 is a good jumping off point for us. We can, you know, run with the staff we have now, get through the summer, and then, you know, hopefully increase going forward.
What are the audibles you call when something comes where you need more than one and there's only one out there?
We rely on mutual aid, and so we rely on our partners, whether it's the neighboring municipalities or the county. They come help out when they're able. And that, unfortunately, especially with a crash in the 83 Valley, if anybody has ever tried to negotiate a vehicle crash at the interchange of I-94, trying to close that and direct that with one squad is impossible.
So you feel that the mutual aid is a deep enough bench for what we need until you can get this to phase in?
Yes, I believe, you know, our partners have been there. Mutual aid has worked. However, I don't want to be an agency that relies on it long-term, because that's just asking our neighbors to supplement us.
Okay.
Are you saying that our biggest problem is on weekends, or is it's a weekday and weekend?
It spans the entire week. On weekends, it's truly a single officer sometimes out there. On weekdays,
It's truly a single officer sometimes out there. How many days are we at one officer on the weekends?
I don't have that exact statistic. However, it's dependent on vacation time usage, benefit time usage. We are scheduling more than one officer for every shift. However, if there's benefit time usage, then, or trainings or other items, then that's when the staffing dips below the minimums or below the 2 officers. Or if we have injuries or medical leave, then we kind of have to shuffle people to try and cover the road as best we can.
And if you do the math, like 16 sworn officers, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it's really difficult to have all, every shift covered. It's not just like 8 to 4 or something. It gets really complicated. So I understand, and hiring is not a simple process. It's a very long process. So that's partly, it sounds crazy, but 2027 isn't that far away, especially when you're looking at budget. So we'd be doing well to budget for this. But yeah, I've seen up close and personal how much work you do to find people and hire them and keep them.
Thank you.
To Steve's question, it would, if whatever you can provide me and the council to just show, like, when we're at that low staffing number, how frequently that happens,
Absolutely.
that would help weigh into our decisions for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'll just comment that I appreciate the quote, early notice.
I agree.
this
That's
is-
very kind of you. Really, that's helpful.
We want to make a, very educated decision, and justify it and have the right reasons when we're asked why the group votes a certain way. And cycling it in with, this is it's a budget decision. We make decisions and dollars come as a result, and we need to see what that looks like so we can understand all the pieces when we hit the budget period over the summer and into fall.
Absolutely.
Just one other thing that I want to mention for the council to at least think about. Another reason why we wanted to bring it to you early is because if you want to entertain this and provide this level of service to our constituents, there needs to be a decision made on how we're going to fund it. The two obvious options would be, we currently have a structural budget deficit, but we also have excess fund balance that prior to this, we are anticipating will last us 5 or 6 years of covering our structural deficit. So obviously, if you covered something like this with that, that would decrease the amount of time that fund balance would cover our deficit. The other alternative, and kind of the one that the state legislature wants us to consider, is when we add additional services, to ask our residents, do we want to do that? And so if there's any thought that we might want to do a referendum to add any service in the city, whether it be an additional police officer, a different level of garbage pickup, a new public works employee, just wanted to bring this to you early so that potentially we could have a November referendum if that's something the council wanted to do.
When would a decision to have something like that have to occur?
Pretty quick.
Molly, I doubt you know off the top of your head, but I'm guessing it's sometime around August that we'd have to have a final question for the November ballot.
Yeah, I think technically you could still do one in August if you track it back.
We're-
Not that we're ready from a staff perspective, I mean a legal perspective.
I
but
think we're
yes.
within a week or two of needing
That
a
sounds right, yeah.
question finalized for August.
Historically, we've done our best as a city to put referendum questions on as big a turnout election as we can get and not have the dark Tuesday, rainy night decisions being made. So if this, just keep this in the back of your minds, entertain, take the chief up on his offer to ask him questions. And we'll get it on an agenda, maybe not next month, but following month, and make some decisions about how we're gonna approve or consider this, going into 2027 in the budget.
And I should be able to have the statistics on staffing levels by the end of this week.
And just one other thing, Len, and I apologize for not bringing this up last week when we discussed this, but I just kind of thought about it over the weekend, but would a SAFER grant be an option? A police grant that covers like the first 3 years and then the city has to commit to keeping that officer on for a period of time?
So that's the cops hiring grants.
Okay.
They have not announced any for this fiscal year. And in the research for the fiscal year 2025 grants, all the enhancers that enhance your grant opportunities, we don't meet. But if one were to come up, we absolutely would put in for it. I think I've shown that I never leave grant money on the table. And so if they do announce a 2026 or a 2027 COPS grant, that would be something we would go for. It's typically a 50% funding, and so there's a match, and then after 3 years, the municipality agrees to maintain that.
I do have the deadline for November. It would be the 25th of August, just as a follow-up.
The only other thing I would ask is if we are going to discuss taking this to referendum, if maybe you could provide some projections on what the ongoing costs would be, not just for this next year, but so we can include that. It's not just a one-year ask, but kind of a going forward ask.
Yeah, we believe it would be around the The ongoing would be a $63,000 plus raises, so whatever we would anticipate for staffing. And then there'd be minimal hardware equipment type upgrades, but those are kind of wrapped into our normal capital reinvestment.
So Tom, yeah, but what you're saying is that we wouldn't have room in our budget to add 63,000 without going to a referendum? Or do we have an option to go either way?
Yeah, so we already have a structural budget deficit, so we're already upside down, and we're using excess fund balance to cover that budget deficit. Prior to this addition, we believe that that'll last us about 5 or 6 years before we would have to go to referendum just for our status quo level of services without a new officer. And so if you try to fund a new officer with that fund balance, that'll obviously decrease the amount of time that that fund balance will last us to support the budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to mention, when we talk to our financial advisor, Ellers, when you go to a referendum, you're not allowed to include any kind of a annual inflation increase in the amount. And so if you're asking for $65,000 in year one, and I'm just going to use round numbers, these are probably wrong, but you might want to ask for $85,000, and then you accumulate that $20,000 per year until the cost is more than what the referendum is. Then you start using that, and maybe you can find a middle ground where you have a number that'll support that position for 10 years or something.
That makes sense, Tom. I think that in the immediate weeks, we should be looking at how established the need is and what, why some people think it's necessary and, justify the ask. Then I'm sure we'll figure out a way to cover the cost. There's a couple of them, neither of them sound great to me, but if there's a need, there's a need. So I would like to let's focus on why right now instead of how to do it.
All right.
I think that would be the most productive way to attack it. Any other questions for the chief on this? Other than I'll say, think of some and just fire them off to him. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, on to item C, discussion and direction to staff regarding various elements of the Wisconsin DOT Genesee Street County Highway C Bridge Replacement Project, currently scheduled for construction in 2029. Help us out, Tom.
Yeah, about 1.5 years ago, we had an introductory meeting with the DOT staff about this project. I remember for sure Dirk Wilkin participated in the meeting. I can't remember if any of the other elected officials did. But at that time, they had told us that they were going to be putting sidewalk accommodations on both the east and west side of the bridge deck. It came as a little bit of a surprise to me. I wasn't sure what the need for the west was. But then during that meeting, one of the many DOT people on the meeting questioned why that was. There wasn't an existing sidewalk on the west side. They said they needed to do a study to confirm it. And I didn't hear back from them until about 2 weeks ago. They asked to meet with me. And we had that meeting last week, Thursday. It was a Teams meeting. Jump on the Teams meeting. I was expecting it to be myself and the project engineer. And I was severely outnumbered. It was myself and about a dozen DOT people on the call. But at that time, they confirmed that, yes, DOT is not going to pay for sidewalk accommodation on the west side of the bridge. If the city wants it, we're going to have to pay for it. They thought the city did want it. I had to clarify, I don't think we do. I had to remind them it was you guys that proposed it originally. So I was going to come to you tonight and confirm that we don't want it on the west side. But this afternoon, I got an email from the project manager saying, hey, they screwed up, and they are going to put it on both sides at DOT cost. So that decision's been made that's going to go on both sides unless the city at all wants to contest it. I'm not sure what sidewalk on the west side would do for anybody. It seems like east side is where it's needed.
Would we have any obligation to make the off-ramp safe on the southwest side?
So they would take care of the engineering involved with crosswalks through the ramps. That would all be part of their design. But we will be required to sign a maintenance agreement to maintain the sidewalk across the bridge. So that would be one reason why maybe we'd only want it on one side. But truly, it's a $150,000 cost, whether we pay for it or the state pays for it. And if it's never going to be used, I'm thinking maybe we want to advocate against it. But with this email this afternoon, they sounded like they want to do it and they're going to pay for it. So if there's anybody that wants me to look into whether it's really needed and the possibility of eliminating it, let me know. Otherwise, it's going to go on both sides.
I think it would be confusing to pedestrians or cyclists if they're going to use the sidewalk. I'm thinking about like crosswalks on a west side sidewalk. When you get to, like, you're going north into the city, you cross into what? There's no sidewalk. There's sidewalks on the east. There's a sidewalk on the east side along Genesee once you get across Poplar. But I'm just wondering, like, when they're going to put crosswalks in, crosswalks to what? There's sidewalks on the bridge, but nowhere else. So I just find that kind of interesting and a bit of a waste of time for state taxpayer dollars, which I think we are state taxpayers, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will add that in addition to the sidewalks, there's also going to be dedicated bike paths in both directions across the bridge.
That will be very popular.
Yep.
I haven't been over there on foot to check what's there. Some of you probably know, but there's a school right there, isn't there, on the west side? So
There is.
So doesn't the foot traffic to the school benefit from the?
No, because there's no sidewalk there, so it's more a question of there's a sidewalk on the east side of Genesee, and there's a proper crosswalk for the school, right opposite of Cushing Elementary.
Yeah, Tom, when they say put the sidewalk deck, and then they're asking us to pay for the sidewalk, or is it one and the same?
No, so on the bridge, the sidewalk deck on the bridge, they're going to pay for. The sidewalk currently, we don't have any sidewalk from Poplar Path to the bridge. We would have to pay for that, and we would also have to pay for sidewalk from the bridge to Indian Spring. Now, both those sidewalk pieces, we can ask the DOT to just design at this point, or we can ask them to design it and install it at our cost at this point. And one reason why you might hold off would be so that once we get a developer on the south side of 94, they could potentially put the sidewalk in. But I think it makes a lot of sense to do it with the project. As Mary pointed out, they're proposing it at a relatively small cost. I was surprised at how low the cost was as well, as far as only $30-some thousand to get from Poplar Path to Indian Spring. And it just would probably fit in better and be better designed if it's done and incorporated as part of the bridge project. Because there's some challenging terrain to get from Poplar Path to the bridge, as far as a steep drop off in a drainage area in between Genesee Street and the cemetery. So just right now, is there any thoughts on, do we want to commit to putting the sidewalk in with the project? Is that something that we know we want to do, or is there more information that we need to make that decision, or what are the thoughts?
Well, personally, I'd be inclined to be supportive of something on the east side. I'm just confused, and I find it not necessarily functional to put one on the west side of the bridge crossing over. They might, they're looking at the bridge. I'm looking at how people get to and from the bridge. So that would be my push, is to, do the sidewalk on the east side.
Why don't we see if we can ask the state to, we'll say, we'll give up the west side, but then you pay for the sidewalk on the east side.
I was thinking along those same lines.
They're very rigid in their rules, and they will not pay for that sidewalk, no matter how many costs you cut out of the project.
I know this is probably 12 years ago-ish, when they were talking about redoing the bridge across 16. Well, we asked them not to, remember?
Yes.
You said, why would you turn it down? But It seemed, we had just had, when the pick and save had gone in, we had just had somebody do big, significant amount of investment in that intersection and the bridge access. And so we kicked the can down the road to save our fellow taxpayers in the state money. I'm sure they spent it somewhere else, but, so it's not unprecedented to try to get them to trim something off of a project, from this body at least. So
If they don't put the sidewalk in, is it just it's not like the bridge gets smaller, right?
The bridge would get smaller, yep. It would be less,
Okay.
less
So
wide.
is there any safety advantage to having just the dead-ended sidewalk on both sides if there was some accident on the bridge or to get emergency vehicles there or?
I mean, I suppose you could come up with a scenario that it's nice to have there, and that's what we've been living with for the past couple of decades. We've got sidewalk on the east side of the bridge that has nothing that attaches to it on either side. It just exists on the bridge. So I'm envisioning that if they move forward with the west sidewalk on the west side of the bridge, that would likely be the outcome of that sidewalk long-term. I mean, the big thing is, yes, there's a school to the north, but there's nothing south of the bridge to connect to. I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna take sidewalk and path all the way to Lillian Court just for, what's there, about 5 homes there?
There's 6 houses.
Yeah, unless we put another crosswalk on the south side of the freeway, it doesn't make sense, does it?
You want to cross where the kids do right
Right.
now, on this side of the street, so.
So I guess if the council is interested in making a motion, I'd be curious if you want to commit to installing sidewalk from Poplar Path to Indian Spring as part of this project at a cost that they've identified right now as $30-some thousand. And Jackie, did you make a motion on that, or do you want to turn that into a motion?
I could. Are we feeling good about this?
I would agree with a motion to commit to the sidewalk. I don't know that I'm ready for a motion on the west side issue, but go ahead.
Are we able to do that when it wasn't noticed in here?
What's that?
Are we able to make that motion when that wasn't noticed in here?
It is noticed.
Sure it is.
The sidewalk is?
Extension of sidewalk to the bridge.
Okay, sorry, I missed it. Just want to make sure.
Okay, yeah, we're looking at the DOT discussion and action. I move to approve the proposed sidewalk, right, on the additional costs on both sides? Is that what we're saying? No, just one side.
Just on the east side.
Just on the east side.
From Poplar Path to Indian Spring.
From, excuse me, Poplar Path to Indian Springs. Yeah, I so move. I did that terribly. So sorry.
I'll second.
Molly cleans it up.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
Molly's going to make me look clean, and you second
I'll
it?
second that.
I mean, so we're telling them that we're committing to this funding.
Yes.
They're going to put it in for this amount.
Okay.
What is that amount?
So,
We're
so
telling
as,
you to do.
as the project progresses, there's going to be additional agreements that come to you. One is a cost-sharing agreement, one's going to be a maintenance agreement. There's still time to change your mind if all of a sudden the costs come in significantly higher or whatnot.
Right.
But conceptually, we want the design to advance with the idea that we're going to have a sidewalk on the east side
Correct.
connecting. Yes.
Correct.
All right.
Is there any thoughts that now we have a west side sidewalk, that we would actually have a west side on the bridge sidewalk, actually putting in a west side sidewalk down to the school?
No, that's exactly what we're not doing. We're talking about an
Right.
east side.
But I'm saying, was there any consideration in the future, because it sounds like it might make some sense to have a sidewalk from the school.
Well, we've got a motion that's
sidewalk
not
on the
including
bridge.
that.
Right, that's not included in the motion.
Let's vote on the east side, and then we'll take this kind of in pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we voted, we didn't, okay.
Good idea.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, we're directing staff to pursue the plan and advance our interest in a sidewalk on the east side of the bridge that's being developed.
So the next question I would have, is there any interest in the council asking DOT to eliminate the sidewalk on the west side of the bridge deck? Or just have them build it in case we ever need it?
I don't think we gain anything by turning it down. I mean, the bridge and the entire highway path get wider if we leave it, which I think is of benefit to the city for the 50-year useful life of the bridge. I don't think we're ultimately saving the taxpayers' money. I think it all gets washed through DOT the same. So I don't see any advantage to turning it down. Whether it's useless or not, we might as well take the wider bridge.
Okay. Paul, did you want to discuss sidewalk
Oh,
extensions
only
on the
thing
west
is,
side?
I can't visualize it right now, but we've got sidewalk on the west side of the Genesee, which goes up, maybe up to the school.
Yep.
But it doesn't go past the school.
It goes about the midpoint of the school building.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a real stretch to go from the middle of the school to the bridge, which now has a sidewalk on it.
I don't think there's going to be many elementary parents who are going to let their kids cross an interstate on a bridge that then when they get to the south side, there is nothing there but cars exiting. It just seems like it's, no, I don't think it would.
It's much safer for them to cross at the school where traffic volumes are significantly lower than the confusion that exists at the ramps.
And even if we're looking at the service level to Lillian Court, there's a crosswalk down by Lapham Peak that would get them over to the south of their property. So if you're going from those residents, there's a row of houses on the southeast corner of Highway C and 94. There's about five farmhouses along that way. And then there's the Zahoric farm, or, building. There's a crosswalk down there. All those people in Lillian Court could walk across down by Lapham Peak, go up to the top of across the freeway and cross safely to the east side by Cushing School, where we've got 25-mile-an-hour speed limits, so.
I would agree there's no present need for it, but a 20, 30-year change to the south side of the city of Delafield is certainly conceivable.
Yeah, so the point that we're discussing right now is whether or not we'd want to add the, add money, direct staff to commit to a sidewalk plan for us to fund when the bridge is being built in 2029, and sounds like no is the right answer.
I was looking long-term, not necessarily this year, but we're saying, 5 years ago, or 5 years down the road, we were thinking about putting a sidewalk, the rest of the way past the school. Then it would make sense to have the sidewalk on the bridge too. But if it's already on the bridge, we can worry about that later.
Right. All right, and then the other issue that we need to talk about tonight is something called community-sensitive design. And it's actually federal funds that are available for local municipalities to add decorative elements to bridges. And if you could go to the PowerPoint that's included in the packet, I just want to walk you through a few of the pictures as far as examples of what can be done with these funds. And just so you know, the federal funds cover 80% of any costs, and the city has to cover 20% of costs. But the federal funds only cover a maximum of, it's $147,525. So I think it would be about a budget of $180-some thousand that would maximize our federal funding. And if we get over that $180-some thousand, then we start to become 100% responsible of any additional costs from that point. Does that make sense?
And so our share of that is 10%, what'd you say, 20% of the 180?
Yep. So $30-some thousand.
Okay.
And so in this PowerPoint, I just want to start at page 4 of 9, which is the Summit Avenue Bridge. And as far as CSD elements that they did here, you can see they did the form liner on the edge of the bridge deck to give it kind of a stone look. So what that is the concrete forms. They actually have that that pattern built into it, and then afterwards the pattern gets stained to give it the color and the look of a stone material. Right now, it's uncertain whether we will have vertical retaining walls under our bridge as shown in this picture. But if we did have vertical retaining walls, you can do some kind of a pattern to it like is shown in this picture. The railing in this picture is a decorative railing that requires a decorative upgrade from the few options that are available at no upgrade. Moving on to page 5, there's another example of of what they call a decorative fence. I don't think it looks all that great. I know. But they do some different, it's kind of hard to see, but in the bottom side view, if you look at the concrete pillars, there's different designs incorporated into how those are formed. That's part of the decorative elements that were funded by CSD. There's some picture framing. We get to have the choice of whether we want the street name on the bridge like is shown here. That would not be an extra cost. That would be something that DOT would fund themselves if we want that. I'm unclear at this point whether that would say County Trunk Highway C or Genesee Street. Oh, by the way, Mary had a question earlier as to who owns the bridge, the county or the city. It's neither. It's DOT owns the bridge. So DOT owns the bridge, city owns north of the bridge, and county owns south of the bridge. Next example, 76th Street. They incorporated some kind of a sunset design into that same type of fencing. Again, you see some kind of recessed edge of the bridge deck. Again, some of that decorative pillars underneath and the pattern incorporated into the vertical retaining wall. On the next one, which is Good Hope Road, I'm trying to get some clarification. I think this fence that is shown here is a fence that we would get for no upgrade costs. And actually, I think from my perspective, it makes the most sense to go with something like this. It kind of would extend the wrought iron look that we've got around the planter boxes downtown out. But in that email today that I included a separate packet for you guys, I think this is the same fence they reference. There's a picture in there. And they said that this is one of the examples of a fence that would not be considered decorative and would be a standard fence for no cost upgrade. For safety reasons, it does have the kind of the chain link mesh built into it, but that is a requirement. If you look closely, that Good Hope Road fencing has that as well. But again, Good Hope Road has the kind of picture frame finish of the parapet wall below the fence. And again, the decorative vertical retaining walls if we end up with having a vertical retaining wall. And then lastly, Highway G. You'll see this is the one example where they didn't have the vertical retaining wall. So if they can fit it in, they'll try to do something like this, slope it. But this one adds some color to the recessed picture framing that they do in the edge of the bridge deck. This goes with the colored fencing. By the way, all the fencing can be done colored with I think it's an epoxy finish, so they've got several colors. But one thing I wanted to point out is on this bridge deck, they got kind of the state of Wisconsin logo on there. But what they could do for us, and I thought would be a good idea, is they could put the sailboat logo or something like that up there. Now it's a DOT requirement. They cannot put the city name up there, so it'd be standalone, the 3 sailboats, but we could do something like that. And, you know, I just wanted to kind of introduce this tonight. I don't know if the council would want to refer this to Plan Commission and our Public Works. I've got to call in to Dan Jasinski of our Public Works Committee. He's got many decades as a bridge engineer with DOT, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of good ideas on what types of things are good to incorporate, what types become a maintenance problem, because again, any CSD decorative element that we do include here, we will be required to maintain that in addition to the sidewalk accommodations. Also, DOT has said that as we start to develop ideas, if we want them to come to a meeting of ours, they'd be willing to do that, share more pictures, help us get an idea of what different things would cost and things like that. So I don't know if there's any preliminary thoughts or direction on how we want to proceed with this, if we want to get some committee involvement.
Yeah, I think having the Department of Public Works look at it would be very wise.
I love the sailboats and a basic fence, so I have an aesthetic idea, just so you know.
you said the basic kind of black vertical?
Yeah, something basic, but I love the idea of those sailboats. You don't have to have the city of Delafield, but that's such a strong logo. And I think it could be a great little pull-off. This is it, the sailboat place.
Yep.
I also like the sailboats. I also like this, the rock look of the summit. I really like that.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Is that kind of a consensus from the council as far as investigate the rock look, the sailboat logos, and then the basic black kind of wrought iron lookish fence that's at, what is this one? Good Hope Road and also provided in this packet?
So,
Yeah, I like the sailboat, I like the rock, but I also like the Highway G bridge aesthetic. And any of those, whichever the planning commission would think blends in the best with the black fence is all good. But you're gonna get a lot of design input. You probably
You're gonna get a lot of opinions.
So-
Are these the only choices?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
Lord help us.
and that's the thing. If you guys got ideas outside the box that aren't pictured here that you want me to ask about, and again, was Jackie, was it you that said Public Works Committee or Steve, I think? Steve? And did you say Plan Commission?
Whichever one it is that does it,
I
yeah.
mean, generally, Plan Commission is the aesthetics and Public Works Committee is the making sure it works well. And so I think both of them would make sense.
Yeah.
Do you want us to refer it to those two bodies for additional input?
I think that's a great
I
idea.
think that we should.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that gives, well, actually, Steve, real quickly on Highway G, is it the color that you like with the fence or is it the?
It's the stone. It's the bridge itself, the color patterns in the rectangles.
Oh, the differentiation of colors and the inserts?
Differentiation in the inserts.
So it's not the fence at all?
Well, the fence is okay, but the other fence is better.
Okay.
The one that you liked up here
Yep.
on Goat Hill.
yeah, a Good Hope Road. The other ones look like prison fences.
I'm just guessing, but I think from a maintenance standpoint, the black one is easier to keep that way too.
Red chemically is very difficult to maintain.
All right, and just the last two things on the agenda for that was just for information that we will be coming forward with both the cost-sharing agreement after we get this stuff defined and a maintenance agreement that we will maintain the sidewalk and any decorative elements that we require. Make sense?
Would the cost of this go into a road improvement project bonding in the future, or would it be a cost that we have to bear?
For operations?
Yeah.
So it would be in the operating budget, and, you know, either it becomes an item that we accommodate with our existing staffing and something else doesn't get done, kind of an opportunity cost, or maybe we add, you know, a few more seasonal hours to the budget or something to try to accommodate it in an efficient manner like that. But we've got some time to figure that out. That's not construction in 2029.
Cost sharing, though, would be, when we build a road now, we go to bond for it.
Correct.
And so the cost sharing element of it would be similar?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ongoing maintenance, certain we have more to maintain, but
Yeah, the sidewalk cost and our share of the CSD cost would be a capital.
Okay, great.
project.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Tom. Item D, approval of vouchers payable. Looking for a motion to approve the voucher list.
I move to approve the voucher list.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, we'll pay our bills. Report of city officials. Hey, why don't you take this, Tom? It's you. Well, City of Delafield, Wisconsin. You covered. I was not aware of this until I just read it.
Yeah, just a couple of announcements. We, the city, we did receive the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 2026 budget. It just means that we meet all the standards set by GFOA for a high-quality budget document. So something we're definitely proud of and happy to see that we got recognized in that manner. Similarly, under item 2, our finance officer, Amy Bookman, has been recognized, and she earned her designated Certified Municipal Treasurer of Wisconsin certification from the Municipal Treasurers Association of Wisconsin. So we congratulate Amy on that, and you know, it's she does a great job for us, and so thrilled for her for that. And then lastly, each time we have our city brush collection, we've got an ongoing statistic spreadsheet that we share with you, kind of shares with you for a citywide collection, how many man hours, how many equipment hours, how many gallons of fuel, and how many loads of brush we pick up. So just sharing that information kind of as a FYI.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Oh, one more thing. This week is National Public Works Week, so if you see any of your Public Works employees and do you think they deserve it, be sure to give him or her a attaboy or an attagirl.
Great, thanks.
Tom, can I just ask a question? Do we have a status on our front steps? As far as any repairs on that during the summer? Or is it still? Just walked up to today for the first time in a while. I go, wow.
Yeah, there's no update at this time on that.
We still can't give them
We can give a report when we get one.
Okay.
All right, Molly.
No report.
No report. City treasurer report should be in the packet. Council request for future agenda items, any? As always, reach out if you have something, send it to Molly, Tom, or I. And let's see. Correspondence, apparently Merton's having a public hearing. What is this about? Public hearing, it's in the packet. So seeing no further business, we are now adjourned at 8:50 PM. Thank you.